Education plays a vital role to the evolution of any nation. That's why investment in the sector is very important. What is education without having well-equipped schools that possess all the qualities needed for the growth of students? That's where universities such as Wigwe University comes to the fore. Wigwe University is unwavering in its commitment to excellence in education and the shaping of future African leaders. The school's purpose is to build and nurture truly responsible, fearless leaders that will drive transformative change in Nigeria and Africa. Wigwe University stands apart as an educational institution with its unique mission to go beyond providing a world-class education. Joining us on the show this morning to discuss what the university is about and what their fearless legacy stands for is Professor Miles Davis, the Vice Chancellor of Wigwe University. Good morning, Professor Davis.
Good morning.
And welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here today. I'm very excited to be joining the three of you for this most important conversation. If I can just put in a promo. I was watching your show earlier, and I was listening to the conversation that the professor was talking about economic development. And unfortunately, Africa in general, and Nigeria in particular, these are seen as places where we give foreign aid. This is not the approach to build an economy. The approach to build an economy is to build an infrastructure where people who are from that country are able to develop and engage in leadership, that they can hire people within the country and not depend upon foreign aid. This is how Nigeria economy is going to grow. This is what Wigwe University is doing. It is committed to developing those future entrepreneurs and those future leaders to help grow our economy and not be dependent upon someone else's aid to do it.
Very well said, and that's a great way to open up because you talked about Wigwe University. Before we came on air, I talked about the fact that I've heard about it everywhere. It seems like everyone is talking about Wigwe University. So tell us, what's so special about Wigwe University?
Well, first of all, you cannot talk about building a world-class anything, particularly a world-class institution, unless what you do to the lead-up of that institution is world-class. And so we have made sure that the message is out and people have the information to do that. What makes Wigwe University unique? What makes Wigwe University different is the fact that from the ground up, we are building an institution that is committed to developing future leaders, committed to developing future entrepreneurs, committed to promoting prosperity in this country. And I just want to pause for a second because there are a couple of people that I have to acknowledge because we could not do this without their support. One is the Howe Foundation under the leadership of Miss Yvonne, who has done a tremendous job, who actually is here with us today in the studio. She's just not in this room, as well as Herbert Wigwe, who had the vision to think about what it is that we're doing here.
Right. Now, of course, one of the things we have heard in the lead up, well, what first grabbed my attention, I saw a campaign, Fearless Legacy, Fearless Legacy. Yes. What is this all about? Can you unpack this? You've already alluded to it a little bit, but can you unpack it further?
So I'm going to pick up on a conversation that we were having a little earlier about my venture to Nigeria. I was a little afraid to come to Nigeria. I was a little afraid because I had never been in the country before. I had not spent time here. Yes, I've traveled a lot and I've lived in different places. But quite frankly, most of the news, not only about Nigeria, but most of the news about the African continent tends to be very negative. And so I asked myself in my mind, why are you doing this crazy thing? And so there was a bit of fear. There was a bit of hesitation because any time that you leave your comfort zone, you're going to experience fear. And so what I've come to realize that more dangerous than fear is complacency, where you're comfortable doing something because you're not going beyond. Being fearless means that I recognize that there is something that is challenging me. There is something that is causing me to pause and step back, and I have to assess the risk involved in that. So thereby, being fearless means I understand this risk, I know what the challenges are, but I'm going to continue to move forward as opposed to just being captured by the fear that often paralyzes people who will not move forward on things because they're so afraid of trying something new. We stay stuck in all kinds of bad relationships, bad enterprises, bad everything because we're afraid to try something new.
Okay, so at first,
Yes,
I
sir.
want to check on the timer. How many days till
Oh,
we
man.
launch?
Pop quizzes. I
Pop
hate these as a
quizzes.
faculty. Pop
Can
quizzes.
you go on the website so we can know the
very
exact
quickly
day,
on the website.
the exact time, the exact hour?
249 days and maybe 249 days and 12 hours.
Okay, Ayo, check it
How
out.
close I am.
I'm about
countdown.
to verify the countdown.
Verify.
It's Wigwe University.edu.ng, by the way, so
Yeah,
in case
yeah.
people wanted to check as well.
Yes,
So-
yes.
Give me a second.
Okay,
I'll
I
come
tried
back
to
to
So
you.
I love journalists that fact check me in real time.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Fact check you.
Yeah.
So what would you say, will be the focus here in terms of what you intend to achieve as, the VC of this university? And congratulations to you. I wish you the very best.
I'm
And
honored.
Nigeria is a good country.
It
Every
is.
country's got its challenges, but we are
You're right.
unequivocally passionate
Yes.
about the potential we have in this country. So that's why we have a love affair and we're stuck on it.
Yes.
And trust me, when you start to have your jollof rice and your local food and your amala and your eba and your tuwo shinkafa and your pomo and everything, the love affair just
Stop, you're
grows.
making me hungry. So
mean, you should.
we have to go eat something after the show or whatever.
You should. I need to take you out there. We should get hungry.
Okay.
So what's going to be your focus as you,
Okay.
you go through your early days? Are you still trying to adjudicate on
Did
these
you-
numbers?
you-
It looks like maybe you've sent a signal to the website just so that we're having days, so that we're calibrating the number of days, hours. But it's down to days, hours, minutes, and seconds if you'd like to follow once
Okay.
it's
All right.
recalibrated.
So our vision is lofty, but attainable. We don't want people to just go get jobs. We want people, so you said, what would I like to accomplish? I'd like to see people leave Wigwe University and launch enterprises. And quite frankly, that is not just a wish. We've built that into the structure of the university. We are going to support them through entrepreneurial ventures. We're going to support them with venture capital. We're going to support them with mentorship that will allow them to accomplish their dreams. The other thing is this. We want to create leaders that can not just lead the business, but that can help lead the country. You are absolutely right. Nigeria is a fantastic place. It is a fantastic place. My experience in the time in which I've been here has been amazing. The people I've met are so full of life and so resilient, despite all the challenges. They have a high degree of grit and ability to persevere, and they should have more. And what I mean by that is this. I see people on the streets engaging in commercial enterprises of all sorts. And in my mind is, what stops that from moving to a higher level? What stops them from having an operational shop? When I look at some of the challenges that you were discussing on your show earlier today about economic growth and development, what stops that from happening? Leadership matters. And so let me be clear. I am not getting into politics. I'm not discussing the present leadership. Please do not take that this way. What I'm saying is that we can always do better.
Yeah.
And so you have to do that with intentionality. You have to tell people that have more of a love for the country than they have for themselves in their own particular pockets.
Yeah.
This is how you develop an economy and turn it around. If you want an example of what I'm talking about, because people say, well, this is just a pipe dream. One of the things that I have in the back of my mind as I watch this is what has happened in Singapore in 25 short years. 25 years. A country without half the resources that Nigeria has. We can do better.
Yeah.
We can do better.
Very well said. Now, talk about leadership. A quick look at your website.
Yes.
We'll talk about the distinguished leadership of the university, right from the visionary to you, the Vice Chancellor, and of
Yes.
course the Board of Trustees,
Yes.
carefully selected leaders
Yes.
to govern the university. That has to be said. You know, from the chair, Dr. Dere Awoshika of the
Yes.
Board of Trustees, phenomenal lineup of or setup of
Yes.
leaders. But let me ask you very quickly, Wigwe University is posed to be an academic hub for students, in Nigeria, in Africa, and indeed the world.
Yes.
For Nigeria, the NUC's requirement for going into university is a UTME. What would be the requirements for international students?
So at this particular point, because we're underneath an NUC probationary license period, we are not presently taking in international students because we have to meet the requirements of the existing structure. The NUC has been very clear about this. We are going to stay in the center of this. And then as we move forward, we will explore the best options to attract the best and brightest, because remember, we are setting up primarily underneath the NUC license to serve Nigeria. And so we have to be in compliance with all applicable Nigerian laws and regulations. And so, as you know, there's a probationary period, and until we graduate our first class, it becomes hard to maneuver outside of any of these things. But even in that conversation, we'll still be in compliance, and we will look for the same qualifications that we have that any of the other institutions in Nigeria do in admitting international students. I also want to point in something. Nigeria, at one time, was a great hub for international students.
Yes. Facts.
And you have to ask yourself, what happened to that? Why did that change? And so there is a blueprint. There is a way in which this can be done that we will look to see how that works within the context of Wigwe University.
I love that you say that. And when I think about this, I recall my own experience going into university, and I was very intentional about wanting to pursue my degree from an Afrocentric perspective.
Yes.
So having said that, how different is Wigwe University?
Oh
Am I speaking your love language?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Tell me about the curriculum.
Talk about this all day long. Okay, so first of all, I want to pick up on your last comment, which is about an Afrocentric perspective. We are doing amazing things, and we talk about being a premier institution and the model of some of the great premier institutions in the world. But the U.S. institutions were set up to serve people in the U.S. British institutions were set up to serve people in the U.S. We're set up to serve people within an African and the African diaspora. And so what that means is that our students who are coming in will take courses in African history. It is amazing how many people here and abroad don't understand the history of Africa. When I mention about having international students in the drawer and what other universities have done historically in Nigeria or on the continent, people don't know about this. All they ever see about us, particularly outside the country, is flies around eyes and swollen bellies. I'm not saying that doesn't exist at times and parts, but there is so much more. So that's number one. Number two, we're doing things that are relevant to the continent. A lot of people outside of Nigeria don't recognize that Nigeria has the largest film industry on the continent. And so we have filmmaking, production. Our partnerships are going to be transformative about who we're bringing in to help assist with that. Number two, we are also doing something that, again, it's amazing. I guess maybe I'm just speaking from my own experience. I had no idea how vibrant the art scene was here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing, amazing artists. So we're doing art and we're doing entrepreneurship. There's also a vibrant banking section here. So we're doing fintech, computational analytics, that we're doing computational accounting and then data analytics. And we're doing things in fintech, we're doing things in cybersecurity. And I find that great because the only perception right now in terms of Nigeria and cybersecurity is that people trying to run a fraud or a scam on you. Well, we're also going to produce people that can help people detect and take apart those scams. And the biggest threat to world economies, quite frankly, are the threats that come in through cybersecurity. These programs are not done that prevalently in the African continent in general, and Nigeria in particular.
Brilliant. Just very quickly, talking about, just going back to the leadership conversation.
Yes.
So whilst you have such a distinguished set of leaders, it's chaired actually by Professor Fabian Ajogu, SAN. And alongside that,
you've done your homework. I love this. You've done your
alongside that with Dr. Deria Woshika, Miss Tokini Peter's side, you have Mr. Uche Wigwe and so many other phenomenal Nigerians.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been said in some quarters that the Wigwe University is only for children of the rich and all of that. How can intelligent but very indigent children benefit? from these universities? The next Einsteins and the next Philippe Emeagwali's of this world.
So this is very personal to myself because I don't know how intelligent I was, but I was definitely one of those indigenous children that needed a hand up to attend university. I come from a very, we'll just use the word humble, otherwise known as poor background. And it was because of university scholarships that I was able to go on to eventually get my doctorate degree and do postdoctorate work at some well-known institutions. I say that because we have intentionally set aside 10% of our student population will be on scholarship. It's designed for the indigenous. One of the challenges, if I may be so bold as to say this, one of the challenges that faces Nigeria is the division that takes place among some on different levels. And I won't go into that, but you're shaking your head so you know what I'm talking about. So what we want to do is bridge that division intentionally. We want to bring everybody to Wigwe University. We want people from the north, we want people from the south, as I've learned, the southeast, the southwest. Yeah. We want Muslims, we want Christians, we want people can come together for one Nigeria.
So everyone welcome to Wigwe University.
Is welcome, including those without resources, because we will make a way. So there have been governors and institutions that have promised to sponsor students that will come. We will have 10% of our students that will come there. So it is not just for the rich. This is not a rich babysitting club. This is a place of educational. And again, what happens in the classroom is only part of your education.
So it's a total education. Thank you so much,
yes.
Professor Miles Davies.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
We had such a great conversation.
And you're invited to our commencement. We want to see you down there.
We look forward to that. It's in River State, isn't it? We look forward to coming along. Thank you.
Thank you.